Now picture this, you're looking online to find your next property, you're scrolling through and you've found one that you like, but then you're questioning, is the price right on that one? If this sounds familiar to you, then stick with me because we're going to be talking about how you can work out if a house is priced fairly. Now, lots of different things affect the value of a home, and we've actually recorded a separate video about that, which you can circle back to after you've watched to the end of this video if you want to do some more research. But we're going to be talking about some of the tips and tricks that you can use to help determine if a house is priced fairly. Now, what's fair can be quite a vague concept. Ultimately, what's fair is decided by you as a person, but what we can try and do is try and sort of quantify for you to give you some more information to help you make that decision as to what is fair. The value of a property often comes down to the supply and demand. So what we're going to be doing a lot of is comparing it to other properties. So the first thing I want you to do is to jump onto Rightmove to see what else is available. Take a little look around the area for that property that you've seen. See which other houses are there. Are they more expensive? Are they less expensive than the one that you're looking for? If they're more expensive, what could be the reasons for that? There are some of these factors that are hard to really put a tangible value on. You've got things like the size of the property. Does it have more land with it? A bigger garden? The less hard ones to measure are about the condition of the property, perhaps. Is it been done up to all the latest trends with a fantastic swanky new kitchen and bathrooms? Or is it something where it's less expensive because the quality of the fit out of it isn't up to current standards? One of the things I look out for ones that seem surprisingly cheap compared to other ones around the area is looking at what is directly around that property. So for instance, is it next to a sewage treatment plant or an industrial site? Is there something that makes that an undesirable location to be in? Make sure you check out on Google Maps, on Street View, check out some of the places around that just to see if that location should carry a more premium price. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about something quite geeky. We're going to go into the data of recently sold properties in that area. Ultimately, if they've already sold, that gives you a true and measured value of what those properties are worth. And so we want to look at that and try and work out what we can from that and apply that to the one that we're looking for in a similar location. There are lots of tools out there that you can use for trying to measure sold prices. As an estate agent, I like to use one called Dataloft a lot, and lots of estate agents will also use Rightmove Plus, where they can compare it to previously sold properties. But even if you don't have access to these tools, there's lots that you can do, and I'm going to show you where you can find this information. The first place we're going to look for this free data is to go onto Rightmove and go onto its sold prices section. Here I want you to use the filters to focus on the area and type of property that you're looking at. So I'd put in the postcode for the property that you're looking at and add in a quarter of a mile, half a mile, 1 mile, depending on how dense the population is around there, how many other houses around. If you're more spread out, you might need to widen that circle. If there's lots of houses close by, then maybe keep it to a quarter or half a mile and filter it also to the sold prices for houses that have sold in the last 12 months. Now from here, I want you to make a list of the addresses of those properties nearby, perhaps get yourself a list of 20 or so, depending on how far you want to go into it. And I want you to get those addresses, I want you to get the type of property, I want you to get the price that it's sold for, and then also the size. Now, when looking for the size, you can often get this from floor plans for the properties that have sold on that Rightmove sold prices page. But if you can't find it on there, because sometimes they are missing, there is another place we can look for this data, and that is on a DirectGov website for the EPC. Now, the EPC is the Energy Performance Certificate, talking about how efficient a home is in retaining energy and heat, etc. But what it also does on this EPC register is it gives a square meterage for the property, and we can convert that square meterage into square footage for the next calculation we're going to do. The reason we want the size is because we want to calculate the price per square foot that those houses achieved. To do this, we need to take the price that each house achieved and divide that by the square footage that we've just worked out from either the EPC or the previous floor plan. Now, with the price per square foot, we can start to work out sort of the average of what a similar property to the one you're looking at achieves in that area. So I'd filter it also to be the same property type, whether it's semi-detached, terrace, detached, and work out what the average price per square foot for that house type is in the area surrounding the property you're looking at. Now, as well as an average price per square foot for a property of that type in the area, you can also work out a general range for where the vast majority of them fall. I'd get rid of a couple of anomalies. Sometimes there are properties that go for extortionate amounts over their value or particularly low amounts. If you can get rid of those anomalies and look at the main range, it should give you not just the average, but the area that properties should fall between. Now, this is where I want you to compare back to the property that you liked in the first place. Look at the price per square foot for that one, compare it to all these ones that we've just worked out the data for. And does the one that you like sit at the top end of that range? Is it highly priced per square foot for that area? Is it the bottom end of that? If it's at the top end, why might that be? Is it a case of it's in particularly good condition? Does it have a really desirable spot and location within the area by being next to the schools? Or is it a particularly bad location next to some of those nastier things that we talked about, so industrial sites that are less desirable for people? Now, as well as the main data information that we've been looking at, there are a couple of other places that you can look, and people talk to me about them when talking about the value of a property. One of those is to use Zoopla's estimated prices. Now, I'm always slightly cautious of using Zoopla a lot because they can work better in some circumstances and less well in other circumstances. The ones where it works the best are where you're in a popular residential area, where there's lots of similar properties that are sold regularly, because using that data, that's where Zoopla drives a lot of it in its algorithm to get you that estimated value. If you're in looking at a property where it is further away from other properties, generally it's out more in the countryside, or perhaps a property you're looking at hasn't sold very recently, it won't have taken into account any modernisations, extensions, renovations, that sort of thing. It could be missing a lot of that information that can help to make that valuation as accurate as possible. So do take a look at that, but use it with caution and try and factor in some of those things that I've mentioned there. Another factor that people take into account when considering the fairness of the value is how long a property's been on the market. Now, this isn't a thing that is black and white again in terms of if it's been on the market a long time, therefore the value is incorrect, because there are some factors that can affect that, such as unfortunate circumstances where properties have fallen through. But you can try to use this to your advantage to try and work out where there is an opportunity to secure this at a lower price. Now, using whether a property's been on the market for a long time as a negotiation strategy is something else entirely, and we've got further videos dedicated to negotiation, so make sure you check back for those. So in summary, there are lots of different bits of information that you can use to help inform your decision as to whether the property value is fair or not. If you'd like to find out more about valuing a property, you can check out the video we recorded here about what affects property values. And then also, if you want to see our latest tips and tricks, make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, and look forward to seeing you on our next video. In this information, I want you to make yourself a list of the addresses of those properties, the type of house they are, and some other stuff.
Nailed it.
Cool.